This page is the front cover of issue 18 of 64 magazine. It's shouting about Gex, Enter the Gecko being exclusive to the mag and asking if it can beat Banjo-Kazooie, which is a big claim. Wipeout 64 is mentioned as aiming to take on F-Zero. Bold words indeed. There's a mission game feature called Unplayable, which is being hyped as a super spy game but possibly a letdown, maybe Mission Impossible is being reviewed there, sounds like a stinker. F1 World Grand Prix is getting a full review and is being hyped as potentially the best racer ever. And lastly, Quake 2 gets a shout for 4-player mayhem. Right at the top, it's promoting a free WWF Warzone and Mortal Kombat 4 Ultimate Battle Book, which is a nice freebie. IS-98 is declared the best footy game ever on the cover too. Plenty to get stuck into in this issue then. The next page features a full-page advert for WWF Warzone on the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. It's boasting about being the only wrestling game in 640 by 480 hires, showing off those polygonal graphics. They're highlighting multiple match types, a creator-wrestler mode, over 300 motion-captured moves, 4-player action, and all the big WWF names like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and more. Vince McMahon and Jim Ross are on commentary too. Proper job. Flipping over, we've got an advert pushing subscriptions to 64 magazine. They're claiming you can save up to £37, and you get a choice of freebie when you subscribe either a game like GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64, or one of their strategy books covering those games and Lilac Wars. They are listing a bunch of games they've got covered in the magazine, including GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Forsaken, World Cup 98, Yoshi's Story, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64. It's all pointing back to those features hyped on the cover like Gex, Wipeout 64, Mission, Unplayable, F1 World Grand Prix, and Quake 2. Issue 18 of 64 magazine previews and reviews several N64 games. Previews include Hover Bother, Wipeout 64, Glover, Quake 2, WCW NWO Revenge, Micro Machines 64 Turbo, and Fighting Force. The 64 site section provides first looks and teases upcoming titles. Game Busters offers cheat codes and solutions for various games, including Mission Impossible and F-Zero X. Regular sections cover news, letters, and past reviews. Reviews feature Gex, Enter the Gecko, compared to Banjo-Kazooie, and Mission Impossible receives mixed scores. Quick blurbs highlight IS-98, calling it the ultimate football game, and F1 World Grand Prix, praising the racing action. Other mentions include Buck Bumble, Cruisin' World, YIA Country Club, and UK Chopper Attack. This page of 64 magazine showcase section starts with an editorial piece discussing the magazine's success and recent N64 game releases, mentioning titles like Buck Bumble, Gex F1 World Grand Prix, IS-98, Cruisin' World, YLE Country Club and Mission Impossible, whilst also proudly stating the magazine's independent and honest approach to reviews. Next up is an article titled, Talking About a Resolution, which confirms that Turok 2 will indeed have a high-resolution mode thanks to the 4MB expansion pack, showing off some lovely screenshots to demonstrate the enhanced visuals, and pondering the future possibilities with the 64DD. Then we've got Drac Goes Back, announcing the disappointing news that Konami has postponed Castlevania 64 until March 1999, dashing hopes for a Christmas release. Following that is Lava 8, Vigilante 8 coming to N64, previewing the N64 version of Vigilante 8, describing it as 70s car combat action in the style of Dukes of Hazzard but with bazookas, based on the PlayStation hit and PC game Interstate 76. Video System Gets the Formula discusses Video System acquiring the rights to Formula 1 games and their plans for a sequel to F1 World Grand Prix with Paradigm, highlighting the N64's strength as a racing game platform. Finally, Zelda at ECTS but no Miyamoto reports that Nintendo will be showing an almost complete version of Zelda 64 at the London ECTS show, but sadly Shigeru Miyamoto will not be attending as he's busy finishing Zelda in Japan. Electronic Arts acquired Westwood Studios, the creators of Command & Conquer. Rumors of Metroid 64 surfaced, then quickly disappeared. F-Zero X sales dipped in Japan, while Carmageddon 64's release was delayed, but the controversial gore remains. Snowboard Kids 2 is set for April release, and Winback will feature a 2-player deathmatch. Magazine sales are up. 2L. The Mad Catz wheel is reviewed favorably for its price, though its pedals aren't perfect. The Game Master G64 pad is a solid, affordable third-party controller. The N64 charts are topped by Banjo-Kazooie, followed by World Cup 98, and GT64. GoldenEye remains popular. A contest offers a £50 voucher for correctly predicting next month's top 3 games. This page is showcasing the upcoming games in the Game Watch section, broken down month by month, from September 98 all the way to games without confirmed dates in 1999. It kicks off with September 98, listing titles like Airboarding USA, All-Star Tennis 99, Bomberman Hero, Chopper Attack, and Deadly Arts, Gasp. October 98 features titles like Action Bomberman, Battle Tanks, and Buck Bumble. November 98 includes 64 Ozumo 2, Body Harvest, and Buster Move 3. December 98 has Bokuju Monogatari, Chameleon Twist 2, and Duke Nukem 0 Hour. There's also a section for games coming in 1999 like 4x4 Mud Monsters and All-Star Baseball 2000, plus a no-confirmed release date section mentioning Castlevania and Nuclear Strike. On the right side of the page is a large advert for Banjo-Kazooie, with the tagline, "You will believe a bear can fly." It boasts about flying like a bear and climbing like a bird, and being a dynamic tag team game. It's got a review quote of 5/5. This is a brilliant game, from CVG, and declares the N64 the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth. Looks like Rare really rate this one. This letters section, When I'm 64, features reader feedback and editor responses. Readers discuss topics such as game list organization, the N64 expansion pack, and GT64's quality. One reader is impatient for the Dreamcast, while another is confused by page numbers. Another questions about sweaty hands, and another seeks game saves and cheats. Editor Ndadi addresses these concerns, promising to consider alphabetical lists, explaining the expansion pack's limitations, and advising patience for the Dreamcast. He also jokes about GT64, the sweaty hands query, and provides saving advice for Forsaken. A Star Prize winner received £170 worth of N64 accessories, and a prize winner praised Banjo-Kazooie. 64 site previews, 2 upcoming N64 titles. Activision's Quake 2, due in November 98, aims to improve upon the original with faster gameplay, smoother performance and enhanced visuals, including Forsaken-style lighting and increased gore. It promises 4-player deathmatch, new weapons, and expansive levels. Activ88, CWC, Seiken/N.WO Revenge, also releasing in November 98, targets wrestling fans. The game features over 80 wrestlers, with signature moves, 35 ways to inflict pain, and a new Battle Royale mode with 40 wrestlers. It includes weapons, authentic WCW belts, and arenas based on real events, offering a cartoonish style similar to WWF Warzone. While lacking a wrestler creation mode, the game is seen as having potential to be the best wrestling game on the N64. This page previews Micro Machines 64 Turbo, coming from Codemasters on the 21st of October 98. It's described as mini motor mayhem. And they are not wrong. The idea of racing tiny cars in breakfast cereal is certainly wacky. The preview mentions blasting around miniaturized vehicles on everyday courses like the breakfast table, bathroom, pool table, beach and garden at insane speeds. Apparently, up to 8 people can play. Even though the N64 only has 4 controller ports, they explain 2 people share a joypad, a bit of a squeeze. But it worked on other machines, they say. There are different speed settings, even a turbo mode, naturally. The article talks about power-ups like a grabber, to chuck other racers off track. The screenshots show some of the madcap courses, racing across toast, around a table with cutlery, on a sandy beach, and even on a chemistry set. Bonkers. They mention various game modes beyond just basic races, tournaments and team games, and a keepsies challenge, which sounds like a laugh. Overall, they seem to think this could be the best Micro Machines game yet. This page is a preview of Fighting Force 64 in 64 magazine. Coming this October from Eidos and Core Design, it's a 3D beat-em-up in the style of classics like Streets of Rage and Double Dragon, but brought into the modern era. The story sees players battling against the crazed Dr. Zeng, a mad scientist cult leader who wants to pollute the Earth. The preview highlights the gameplay action across 25 levels, focusing on kicking, punching and throwing enemies, with weapons like guns, bottles, and even furniture to be used. Each of the 4 playable characters has their own special attacks. You can even fling objects like crates, cars and even other people around. Apparently, Some objects can explode, adding to the mayhem. There's also two-player cooperative play to team up against Zeng's goons. The Force Yourself section introduces the 4 heroes. Mace Daniels, described as a 21-year-old martial artist. Hawk Manson, a cynical vigilante. Alana McKendrick, a raver girl kidnapped by Dr. Zeng. And Smasher Jackson, the muscle-bound strongman of the group. There's also a bit about Dr. Zeng himself in a section titled Zeng Buddhism, painting him as a rather eccentric and dangerous villain. Finally, the preview notes that while there's some blood, it's not as over-the-top as games like BioFreaks or Turok 2. This page is a retail advertisement page showcasing a wide range of Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and Super NES games and accessories. There's a limited edition N64 bundle with GoldenEye and a gold controller for £122.99, and a standard N64 with International Superstar Soccer 98 for £119.99. They are offering £1 off every additional game or accessory purchased at the same time as a console. There's a big section on N64 wheels, featuring the Ultra Racer, Mad Cat steering wheel, and V3 racing wheel. They also list N64 rumble packs and memory cards. A large portion of the page is dedicated to N64 games, split into N64 games and US N64 games sections, with loads of titles listed and marked as new or second-hand. Games like Banjo-Kazooie, Blast Corps, GoldenEye, and Zelda are featured, along with US titles like BioFreaks and Clayfighter. It looks like there is a special offer to get a free Mario Kart or Wave Race mouse mat when you buy either of those games. They also advertise Super NES games and accessories, and PlayStation titles like Colin McRae Rally and Tomb Raider 2. There's a section on Game Boy Pocket cameras, and printers too. Finally, they're pushing new accessories like soft character toys, including Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong, and a Game Boy booster to play Game Boy games on your N64. They are also selling colored N64 controllers and wireless controllers. Hover previews Wipeout 64, a Nintendo 64 reimagining of the PlayStation Classic, developed by Psygnosis. The game isn't a direct port, but features significant enhancements to AI, craft handling, and track design. A team of 13, including veterans from previous Wipeout and Colony Wars games, are creating the title. Development began in mid-February, with an anticipated November 1998 release. The game includes 6 brand new tracks built from the best elements of previous Wipeout titles, promising increased speed and challenge. Gameplay features include head-to-head battles, unique vehicle attributes, varied weapons, and track designs incorporating jumps and pits. 4 racing classes, Vector, Venom, Rapier, and Phantom, offer progressively harder experiences. The article specifically highlights the track Michonne 2, a forested track with techno-Ewok villages. On the right track, reviews the 7 tracks of Wipeout 64. Each track, like the Icyclize Bridge and Industrial Direness, is detailed with screenshots. Coron IV features underwater tunnels, while Michonne 2 offers a natural escape. Terrafumos is a construction zone, Circana a desert canyon, and Velocitar a hidden track. The article includes developer insights. Programming for the N64 presented unique challenges. The game boasts 8 music tracks, including contributions from PC Music, Fluke, and the Propeller Heads. The developers prioritized multiplayer and music, believing they excelled. Comparing Wipeout 64 to F-Zero X, the developers highlight its balance of speed and gameplay. They praise the analog stick controls and mention a new challenge mode inspired by Gran Turismo. 64 Magazine previews Wipeout 64, starting with Lock and Load, a guide to the game's weapons. Players can use Autopilot, Electrobolt, EPAK, Mines, Missiles, Quake Disruptor, Rockets, Shield, Thunderbomb, and Turbo Boost. An interview reveals no definite future N64 projects, but the team is busy. A replay report highlights an early build, noting unfinished elements, including controls and visual effects, but praises the detailed tracks and music, ultimately favoring Wipeout 64 over F-Zero X. Super Weapons introduces unique team-specific abilities: the Minigun, Phizar, Shield Raider, Ag Systems, Energy Sphere, Oricom, and Power Snare, Kyrex. Smells Like Team Spirit details the 4 teams: Ag Systems, Balanced, Phizar, Beginner-Friendly, Oricom, All-Rounders, and Kyrex, Powerful but Challenging Handling. Glove at First Sight previews the Nintendo 64 game Glover. Developed by Hasbro Interactive Studios, the game stars a magical glove tasked with bouncing balls through various worlds to defeat an evil twin. The premise originated from a desire to create a unique, crazy golf experience. Gameplay focuses on the ball's physics and the glove's direct control, offering a new puzzle design dimension. The hub world serves as a training ground, while environments like Atlantis present challenges. The game features diverse ball types, a realistic physics engine, and various glove maneuvers. The plot centers around a wizard turned to stone, with the player retrieving crystals to restore the Crystal Kingdom while battling the evil glove. Production spanned approximately 2 years, involving a team of over 40 people, including in-house staff, contractors, and Hasbro. The article also includes a look at the developers and their background. A Load of Balls details the diverse levels of Glover. Fear offers a spooky haunted house experience with tricky puzzles. Pirates plunges players into a nautical world with underwater exploration. Carnival presents a colorful, circus-themed level. Prehistoric journeys back to the age of dinosaurs, featuring lava, ice, and a tiny T-Rex, with the ball walk ability reversing controls. Finally, Out of This World takes players to space with flying saucers and futuristic cityscapes. The game features various ball types: the bouncy standard ball, a heavy bowling ball, a magnetic ball, and the fragile crystal ball. The core gameplay, dubbed handjob, revolves around guiding the ball through puzzles using the glove. The control methods include glove control, ball control, or combined approaches, utilizing throwing, bouncing, pushing, pulling, and whacking, with the aim of creating a unique 3D puzzle experience. 64 Magazine reviews Gex: Enter the Gecko for the N64, calling it a 64 sizzler. The review notes Gex's 3D debut, with a new level exclusive to the N64 version. The camera system, with its semi-automatic mode, is highlighted. Comparisons are made to Banjo-Kazooie, acknowledging Banjo's graphical superiority while still praising Gex's enjoyment. The game boasts colorful 3D graphics, movie-themed levels, and detail, though camera angles pose occasional issues. The game details include 1 to 2 player support, a 96 meg cart size, rumble features, and it was published by GT Interactive, developed by Crystal Dynamics. It's a platformer from the USA, released in September for £54.99, price TBC. There's no memory card support, only a password system, and the controller pack is for saving progress. Gex: Enter the Gecko features a bizarre plot where a TV-addicted gecko, Gex, battles a media mogul, Rez, who has hijacked TV channels. The game parodies various film and TV genres. Players navigate levels through video screen doorways, finding remotes to progress. The review highlights key gameplay elements. Camera options are lauded. Levels include a Godzilla-themed monster fun section where Gex becomes Gexzilla, a level requiring oxygen management in space, and wall crawling on specific surfaces. Other levels showcase features like spooky paintings, boss battles requiring specific actions, ice sliding, scuba diving, and a NYPD Gex level with a badge collection bonus. This page features a review of Gex: Enter the Gecko, awarding it a cracking 90% overall. They reckon it a top title, praising the graphics, audio, gameplay and challenge, each getting a solid and star rating. The review highlights the Indiana Gex bonus level, which tasks you to find green crystals, and touches upon the game's approach to 3D platforming jumps, suggesting it handles them rather well. It points out Gex's tongue ability for combat and grappling, which is a neat touch. Menizuko. There's a control layout showing the N64 pad and button assignments, and they've listed alternative games, recommending Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64 if you fancy similar platformers. The verdict section confirms it's a fast-paced, humorous 3D adventure, easy to get into and improves the longer you play. They particularly enjoyed the varied worlds, especially the bonus levels, and the satirical humor. There's a section called Electrifying Experience, highlighting how Gex can conduct electricity in the computer levels to activate bridges and shafts. A second opinion piece compares it to Banjo-Kazooie, saying Gex is another fine game in its own right and worth a punt. Finally, there's a soundbite calling it satirical 3D fun, with a sarcastic cartoon gecko. Sums it up nicely, doesn't it? The N64 game Mission Impossible received a lukewarm review. Despite 3 years of development, the game is criticized for not living up to expectations. It loosely follows the film's plot, with Ethan Hunt clearing his name. The review highlights poor visuals, including the N64's blur and repetitive textures. Clumsy controls, especially when aiming, lead to frustration. The game offers straightforward puzzles and features diverse missions, such as the Lundquist base, warehouse, and KGB HQ. However, the review points out issues like tedious gameplay, half-witted character interaction, and massive fogging. The control scheme is a major drawback, considered even clunkier than GoldenEye, due to low frame rates. Ultimately, despite some good music and a sniper level, the game is considered a letdown. The review slams the N64's mission, Impossible Game, criticizing its design and execution. The Faker Maker section pokes fun at the face-changing gadget, calling it basic, and noting Tom Cruise's insistence on the hero's likeness. The Mission Illogical section attacks the game's structure, comparing it unfavorably to GoldenEye, and highlighting tedious objectives, frustrating controls, and illogical level design, such as electric floors and a frustrating wire fence. The reviewer details several missions, like CIA Rooftop and Train, each with its own set of gameplay issues. The review consistently stresses the game's failures despite its cinematic origins, ultimately leading to a frustrating, trial-and-error experience. This review slams the Mission Impossible N64 game. The reviewer criticizes the game's use of stunners and pepper spray, finding the gameplay lacking. A compare and contrast section overwhelmingly favors GoldenEye, highlighting its superior features. A second opinion calls it a real stinker, while the bottom line focuses on basic controller layouts. The game receives a dismal 48% rating, with its graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge all receiving poor marks. The review notes the game's limitations, preventing the player from enjoying a GoldenEye-style experience. Even the supposedly best parts, like the Waterloo Station sniper bits, pale in comparison to other N64 titles. A final joke about the main character's future career sums up the reviewer's overall disappointment. Is 98, a Konami N64 football game, arrives during World Cup hype, aiming to surpass its predecessor, ISS-64. The game supports up to 4 players, features updated graphics, and a Players Are Us mode for creating custom footballers with detailed appearance and skill adjustments. Gameplay improvements include enhanced animations, Brazilian-style skills, and removed delays. New automatic replay views add a Sky Sports feel. Various game modes include open game, penalty kick practice, and scenarios recreating classic matches. Regional qualifiers offer continental matchups. Key improvements include better graphics, new animations, improved AI, and extensive player customization options. While unlicensed, the game offers diverse stadiums, weather effects, and memory pack support for saving progress. Overall, IS-98 delivers a deeper, more engaging football experience compared to its predecessor. The next page reviews IS-98. They reckon Konami have finally achieved the perfect football game. It's packed with features, including enhanced player actions, intelligent AI, and more stadiums. They've really gone to town on player customization with the members option to pick your starting lineup, free kick takers, and even the captain. The review highlights gameplay improvements, like the ability to perform daring skills, inch-perfect crosses, and more intelligent player movement. They've also tweaked set pieces and added celebrations after goals, showing off 4 examples like Nigerian dancing and arms up in air. The commentary is also said to be much improved. There's a section showing the bottom line controls for the game, and they also compare it to other footy games like World Cup 98, ISS-64, and ISS-64 by Konami, giving ISS-98 a glowing 95% overall. The individual ratings are all top-notch too, with green ticks across the board for graphics, audio, gameplay and challenge, all getting full marks. They are calling it the greatest football game ever. Strong words indeed. F1 World Grand Prix for the N64, an import costing £54.99, is lauded as a potential best-in-class racer. Developed by Paradigm and published by Video System, it supports up to 12 players and rumble. The game shines with steering wheel support, particularly the Ultra Racer 64. The review highlights its simulation style, requiring dedication to master. Boasting 4 save slots, the game features fantastic visuals, realistic sound, authentic circuits, real cars and drivers, and excellent wheel support. Downsides include a challenging learning curve and occasional slowdown. The game stands out with its dynamic weather, realistic effects like debris on tires, and a hidden Hawaiian track. The reviewer boldly claims it surpasses other N64 racers, offering a serious and immersive Formula One experience. This page continues the review of F1 World Grand Prix, still raving about it being an essential purchase. They're highlighting the visuals, even showing Gina Leslie's misfortune with a wheel coming off, but still praising the detailed cars. There's a bit about the clever name changes for sponsors due to Nintendo's policies, like Benson and Hedges becoming Bitten and Hisses. The review touches upon the gameplay modes, including a 2-player split-screen mode which can be vertical or horizontal, and the time trial mode. They mention the car detail, sound effects being impressive, and the lighting effects. Tawispo. Moving on to the next page, page 51, it's still all about F1 World Grand Prix. There's a section called It's the Pits, explaining how pit stops work in the game, saying it's quite automated but you still make strategic choices about tires and fuel. Then there's a cool feature called Schumi Does Monaco, where Michael Schumacher himself, supposedly, gives you a track guide for Monaco, corner by corner, with a map and tips for each section of the circuit. They're still very impressed, calling it an essential buy again, and even comparing the graphical quality favorably to Rare's Banjo-Kazooie in some aspects. F1 World Grand Prix for N64 receives a glowing review, praised for its realism and immersive details. The Challenge Television mode puts players in real-world scenarios from the '97 season, like wet races. The game emphasizes realistic tire strategy and offers a broadcast-style camera view. Immersive elements include track dirt and car damage. Reviewers rave about the realistic cars, driver behavior, and tracks, with no pop-up issues. The game is declared the best F1 title on the N64, even compared to PC games, scoring high marks across the board, with a 94% overall. The review highlights excellent graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge. Controls are straightforward, and a bonus track is hinted at. The verdict is clear. This is a must-buy racer. This page gives us the full review of Buck Bumble for the N64, a game that's been in development for a while, from Argonaut Software, known for their 3D stuff. It's a shoot-'em-up, where you play as a cyborg bee called Buck, trying to save the world from mutant insects created by a toxic spill. A bit bizarre, but alright. The review points out the excellent 3D enemies and exciting gameplay, saying it's mission-based with intelligent objectives and loads of weapons to use. They mention the fogging can be a bit bad in places, which was a common issue back then. Apparently there's a freaky football mode as well in 2-player battle, which sounds a bit mad where you're hitting a football into goals using your bee. The screenshots show Buck in action, blasting away at enemies in what looks like garden environments and industrial areas. There's also a little box about memory options, saying it uses the controller pack to save up to 8 games. It's compared visually to a certain Fox game in space, but gameplay-wise it's meant to be different, with puzzle elements and mission briefings. Looks like they are trying to get away from just straight shooting and adding a bit more depth. Buck Bumble's review highlights impressive weapons and challenging, mission-based gameplay. The review praises the game's controls, particularly the ease of flight and hovering. A notable drawback is the significant fogging, especially on open levels, reminiscent of Turok but worse. The game features a buzzball mode, a bee-themed alternative to a 4-player battle mode, which is considered fun. The missile launcher, while a gimmick, adds to the entertainment. The review gives Buck Bumble high marks across the board, with top scores for graphics, audio, gameplay and challenge, leading to an overall score of 90%. While the second opinion calls it clever and fun, it notes that it never gets the pulse racing and reiterates the fogging issue. The soundbite calls it, be fun. This review of Cruisin' World for the N64 is scathing. The reviewer, Andy McDermott, immediately disparages the game, a sequel to the poorly received Cruisin' USA. He criticizes the graphics, noting that while initially passable, they suffer from cut corners. Gameplay is deemed frustrating due to its arcade-style turbo, focused on obstruction, and infuriating predetermined crash animations. The reviewer heavily criticizes the game, using strong language and calling it a waste of time. He recommends far better racing games like Top Gear Rally and Diddy Kong Racing, ultimately giving Cruisin' World a dismal 24% score. A second opinion echoes the negative assessment. Despite a few minor details like a track on the moon, the review concludes that Cruisin' World is a terrible game. This review blasts Waialae Country Club for N64. The game, using the same engine as the poorly received Augusta Masters 98, suffers from awful graphics described as blurrevision, where detail vanishes up close. Gameplay is frustrating due to a harsh engine, and the soundtrack is deemed terrible. Controls are difficult, and CPU opponents are overly challenging. The review highlights the game's stats. 1 to 4 players, 128 MB cart, no rumble, published by Nintendo. It's criticized for being unfunny, having appalling graphics, annoying music, and impossible controls. The game allows saving tournaments and scores. Alternative golf games are suggested. The ratings are dismal across the board, resulting in a shocking 15% overall score. A second opinion reinforces the negative view, comparing the game to a bumcrack, and the audio to a painful experience. Chopper Attack, a conversion of the Japanese import Wild Choppers, is reviewed in 64 magazine. The game, developed by Seta and published by GT Interactive, features a mission-based structure, varied helicopters, and weapon choices. Controls are similar to Turok, utilizing the analog stick. Enemy 80 is praised. The review notes, the game is let down by its slow speed, feeling like it's always in second gear, despite being playable and interesting. The game uses a 64 MB cart, supports rumble, and retails for £59.99. The UK version runs slightly slower than the import. The game scores 79% overall, with 4 out of 5 for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge. Andy McDermott's second opinion echoes that it's an improvement over Wild Choppers, but not essential. The review includes tips like weapon usage, and suggests Pilot Wings and Aerofighter's Assault as alternatives. This page is Cheat Central, and it's packed with codes for a load of N64 titles. For Banjo-Kazooie, there are a few egg and feather cheats, 99 Mumbo tokens, and unlocking master difficulty. You can also get super deformed cars, change colors, and there's a leader timer during races. Forsaken 64 gets a good few codes too, covering invulnerability, silenced and high-powered weapons, Uzis, rocket launchers, turbo mode, big feet and big head modes. For Zero X fans get cheats to unlock everything cars, tracks, and cups, including the Joker and X cups. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon has some interesting things rather than proper cheats, like extra songs if you complete the game, and a glitch to fall into space. Iggy's Wrecking Balls has codes to unlock the cheat menu, all worlds, and all characters. Diddy Kong Racing has a bunch of codes to do with time trials and leaderboards, like freezing lap and overall times, instant finish codes, and different versions of cheat codes. Lastly, for Fighter's Destiny, there are codes to mess with the star counts for player 1 and 2, and for 1-star Ryuji. Cheat Central's N64 tips include WWF Warzone unlocks, beating the WWF Challenge unlocks modes like Ego, Ladies Night, and Wind, plus characters like Dude Love and Cactus Jack. You can also change wrestler colors and access WrestleMania rings. Dock for F1 World Grand Prix, rename drivers to unlock bonus tracks and racer types. Completing the Rookie Championship unlocks credits and the gallery. Star Soldier. Vanishing Earth unlocks extra options, including level select, upon completing the game on regular difficulty. This issue of 64 Solutions, priced at £3.95, provides full solutions for Yoshi's Story, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Banjo-Kazooie, and Fighter's Destiny. This page is the Score Zone, the place to be if you reckon you're top dog at your N64 games. It's all about submitting your best times and scores to get your name in print. Looks like this month, Rob Pierce from Salisbury is the ultimate player for his Snowboard Kids prowess. Warrington Nor Games. They've got instructions on how to enter, basically record your gameplay, send proof to the magazine down in Bournemouth, and include a stamped addressed envelope if you want your photos back. There's even a mug zone, for sending in photos of yourself with your scores. For a bit of extra fame, looking at the games, GoldenEye 007 is heavily featured with times for all sorts of levels like Facility, Runway, Bunker, and even Egyptian Temple. Then there's Snowboard Kids, with leaderboards for Rookie Mountain, Big Snowman, and so on. Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart 64 are there too, with times for tracks like Ancient Lake and Luigi Raceway. Other games getting a shout-out are Wave Race 64, Top Gear Rally and Nagano Winter Olympics, plus a little section called Best of the Rest including Chameleon Twist, Extreme G and Fighter's Destiny. Right at the bottom they're pushing their Ultimate Player competition where you could win a Trident pad and memory card. This guide offers strategies for navigating the possible difficulty in the N64 game. Mission: Impossible. It covers 4 missions. In Mission 1, Lundvispace, players are advised to use the Facemaker to assume an identity and reach the Subapen with clutter. Mission 2, Subapen, focuses on acquiring magnetic mines and giving them to Clutter before escaping with Downey. Mission 3, Embassy Function, involves obtaining a face maker, a score, and nausea powder. Players must poison a drink, plant smoke generators, and assume the ambassador's aid identity to access a restricted area. Mission 4, Embassy Warehouse, instructs players on finding the exit key, accessing KGB HQ, and dealing with toxic gas. Players should find a geek suit for protection and search for the key dropped by a guard. The guide aims to assist players through the game's challenging aspects. This page of the magazine continues the mission. Impossible Guide, now covering missions 5 through 8. Mission 5, KGB HQ, kicks off with objectives like talking to Barnes and finding key gadgets such as the video freezer, facemaker, and dart gun. You're tasked with sabotaging a video link, getting an exit pass card and transfer orders, before finally escaping with Candice. The guide mentions using the facemaker on the KGB security chief and picking up the dart gun from his desk. Moving on to Mission 6, Security Hallway, it sounds like a tricky one, with electrically charged floor tiles. The objectives are to secure passage for Candice and activate a master switch, highlighting the need to be quick and take out guards to avoid Candice getting captured. ALA. Mission 7, Sewage Control, focuses on finding a supercomputer, protecting Candice, getting the NOC list and escaping. It involves navigating a sewage plant, using moving platforms, dealing with guards and hitting switches to open up walkways. Finally, Mission 8, Escape, has objectives to unfreeze video cameras, assume Golden's identity, find an exit key, and escape with Candice. The guide details using a pistol to take out drone guns, waiting for Candice, getting the mask of Golden from a cabinet, smashing a control panel, and using the video freezer again to unfreeze cameras. The goal then is to assume Golden's identity, and grab the exit key to escape. Missions 9 to 13 of this mission, Impossible Game Guide detail Ethan Hunt and Candice's adventures. Mission 9, Fire Alarm, requires obtaining fireman disguises and escaping the embassy, including interacting with Jack in disguise. Mission 10, Interrogation Room, is a multi-stage escape involving retrieving gear, navigating sectors, finding an antidote, and reaching the roof. The guide suggests using creative distractions like gum, spray paint, and fire extinguishers. Mission 11, CIA Rooftop, focuses on sabotaging helipad lights to facilitate a helicopter landing. Objectives include finding equipment, accessing security levels, and ultimately, meeting Candice. Finally, Mission 13, Rooftop Escape, centers on obtaining a NOC list and escaping, highlighting challenges like laser beams and card readers. Screenshots showcase key mission moments. Dauntora. The next page showcases more missions from the mission. Impossible Game Guide. Mission 13, Rooftop Escape, tasks you with joining the heliport, deactivating the EMS, and escaping by helicopter. It mentions using IR lenses, jumping over railings, dealing with laser grids, and finding the EMS control panel. Mission 14, Our Station, is about protecting Ethan and taking the train. It's described as using sniper rifles at Waterloo Station, switching between them with the B button, and being careful not to shoot civilians while taking out assassins. Mission 15, Train Car, sounds a bit like Virtua Cop. Objectives include neutralizing Max's henchman, meeting Candice who gives you a gizmo to block off parts of the train, finding a switch to block exits, dealing with bodyguards, stopping Max to grab the NOC list, and defusing his backup bomb plan. Gameplay involves fighting through train carriages, using a pacemaker disguise, fighting more of Phelps' henchmen, finding a blowtorch and liquid nitrogen to deal with a safe containing a bomb which you then have to defuse. Piatoke. Finally, Mission 16, Train Roof, is about catching Phelps in a 200 miles per hour action sequence on the train roof. You need to avoid electrified bits, make your way down the train, use a pocket-sized rocket launcher to take out cars and helicopters carrying Phelps associates, and watch out for helicopters trying to knock you off. Missions 17 through 20 in this mission, Impossible Guide, offer a variety of challenges. Mission 17, Subpen, involves retrieving equipment from a submarine base while evading terrorists. Mission 18, Tunnel, is a vehicular sequence where you sabotage anchor bolts in a tunnel while navigating obstacles. Mission 19, Mainland, focuses on sabotaging a power plant, retrieving a briefcase, using a face changer, and escaping via gunboat after dealing with guards and a helicopter. Finally, Mission 20, Gunboat is a full-action sequence where you use a gunboat to escape an enemy base and destroy a gas factory. This page advertises several gaming-related products and services. Maximum Solutions offers a Banjo-Kazooie game guide for £3.95, including a walkthrough, secret locations, and posters. N64 Power Cheats provides cheat codes via phone numbers, costing 50p per minute. New Age Consoles advertises import N64 consoles, £129, CD add-ons, £235, and various games with prices. They emphasize competitive pricing, including free PSX chips and inclusive VAT and P&P, plus a new shop opening in Croydon. Lastly, there's an ad for Dreamcast, promoting colored consoles, N64 Candelas add-ons, and Dreamcasts at unspecified prices, with a focus on unbeatable prices and matching competition. This F-Zero X guide covers the Jack Cup tracks. To unlock harder difficulties, Expert and Master, players must first beat the Joker Cup on Standard, then all Cups on Standard, and finally all Cups on Expert. The Jack Cup includes 6 tracks: Mute City, beginner-friendly; Silence, Oval Track, speed-focused; Sand Ocean, tunnel-based, sharp turns; Devil's Forest, Dirt Track, hairpin turn; Big Blue, magnetic tube; and Port Town, toughest, featuring sharp turns, a chicane, ice, and a jump. Tactics vary per track. Mute City uses boosts. Silence relies on boosts and recharge strips. Sand Ocean requires careful navigation of tunnels. Devil's Forest focuses on grip. Big Blue emphasizes controlled boosting, and Port Town involves corner cutting and mid-air adjustments. Speed screenshots are included for each track. This guide for F-Zero X covers the Queen and King Cups and offers car recommendations. The Queen Cup features tracks like Sector Alpha, Ceiling Track, Speed and Ramming Tactics; Red Canyon, Long Jumps, Survival; Devil's Forest 2, Boost Carefully; Mute City 2, Avoid Bottlenecks; Big Blue 2, Twisty Spin Attacks; and White Land, Dirt and Gaps. The King Cup includes Firefield, Boost Over Lava; Silence 2, Narrow Spiral, Avoid Barriers; and Sector Beta, Loop, Dirt Banks. The Mad Machines section reviews car selection, with recommendations for the Blue Falcon, Wild Goose, Deep Claw, Mad Wolf, and Super Piranha. It advises avoiding the Red Gazelle, Great Star, and Wonder Wasp. This magazine page focuses on F-Zero X's Joker and X Cups. The Joker Cup features 6 tracks. Rainbow Road is wide but has mines. Devil's Forest 3 has a tricky looping design. Space Plant returns with magnetic tubes and ice strips. Sand Ocean 2 is surprisingly straightforward despite its appearance. Mute City 3 is wide with right-angle turns, and Big Hand presents long straights and icy sections. The X Cup is a randomly generated, tricky course. The page also covers the car setup screen, explaining how to adjust acceleration and speed sliders. For twisty tracks, prioritize acceleration. For straights, focus on top speed. The default middle setting is considered versatile. The page is illustrated with screenshots of tracks and character art. This page is an advert promoting Nintendo 64 game guides and subscriptions to 64 Solutions magazine. They're pushing a deal where if you subscribe for a year to 64 Solutions, you get to pick a free game from a selection of classics including Super Mario 64, GoldenEye, Yoshi's Story, Banjo-Kazooie, or Diddy Kong Racing. Cracking games, all of them. They've got a range of guidebooks on offer too, covering a load of top-end 64 titles. There's a general Nintendo 64 Secrets, Strategies, Solutions Volume 3, which covers a bunch of games including Banjo-Kazooie, Mortal Kombat 4, Yoshi's Story, and Donkey Kong Racing. Then there are dedicated guides for Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, Lilac Wars, Turok 2, and World Cup 98. They also have As of Nintendo 64, Volume 2, and Nintendo 64 Secrets, Strategies, Solutions Gold, both promising loads of tips. The advert highlights that these guides are packed with screenshots, over 2,000 in some, and in full color. They're banging on about cheats, strategies, complete walkthroughs, and maps. For GoldenEye, they're specifically calling out exclusive double gun and paintball cheats, and hidden characters. For Banjo-Kazooie, they emphasize every level and cheat mode being revealed. Ordering is straightforward with phone, email, web, fax, or post, all available. They're also pushing their complete As of 64 Games magazine and a specific GoldenEye 007 guide within the advert itself, drawing extra attention to those. This page is another advert, this time pushing subscriptions to 64 magazine with a mega deal. For just £40 you can subscribe and choose one of 8 games: GoldenEye, Forsaken, Yoshi's Story, Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, World Cup 98 or Mario Kart 64. Not a bad selection, eh? They're highlighting that getting the magazine delivered means you get it before it even hits the shops, and you save 35% on the cover price. There's also an even bigger offer, where for £70 you get 12 issues, one of those games, and a Secrets and Solutions book, saving a massive £37 apparently. And if you subscribe you get a subscribers-only newsletter as well. There are price breakdowns for 6 and 12 issue subscriptions for the UK, Europe and the rest of the world. There's also a form to fill out to subscribe, or to order back issues, going all the way back to issue 2, though some of the earlier ones like issue 1 and 6 are already sold out. Finally, there's a section to pick which game and which Secrets book you want if you are going for the mega deal subscription. They've even got Banjo-Kazooie giving a thumbs up to tempt you in. The Nintendex reviews a variety of N64 games, ranging from imports to domestic releases. Notable titles include Banjo-Kazooie, 95%, praised as a must-have gem, and Diddy Kong Racing, 86%, lauded as a superior kart racer to Mario Kart. Other high-scoring games include All-Star Baseball, 99, 89%, and F-Zero X, 90%. However, many games received poor scores, such as Clay Fighter 63 and a third, 8%, described as the worst N64 game, and Cruisin' USA, 22%, considered shockingly inept. Overall, the N64 library presents a mixed bag, with standout titles like Blast Corps, 80%, and Duke Nukem, 64, 84%, alongside disappointments like Aero Fighters Assault, 20%. Issue 18 of 64 magazine reviewed a variety of N64 titles. Standout titles included GoldenEye, 95%, and Forsaken, 93%. Other strong performers were IS-98, 94%, and Lylat Wars/Star Fox, 64, 88%. Mario Kart 64 received a 78% despite criticisms. Sports games like FIFA, Road to World Cup, 98, 80%, NBA Courtside, 85%, and NHL Breakaway, 98, 85%, received positive reviews. However, some games, like FIFA 64, 20%, and The Glory of St. Andrews, 10%, were heavily criticized. A diverse range of genres were reviewed, including racing, fighting, and RPGs, with varied results, highlighting the N64's mixed library. The Nindex reviews a variety of N64 titles. Poor scores were given to Off-Road Challenge, 27%, Quest 64, 56%, Shadows of the Empire, 58%, Sim City 2000, 60%, and Wheel of Fortune, 30%. Several games scored in the 70s. Olympic Hockey, 98, 70%, Pilotwings, 64, 74%, San Francisco Rush, 70%, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, 70%, Tetrasphere, 70%, and Wild Choppers, 70%. Games with scores in the 80s include Puyo Puyo Sun, 64-87%, Puzzle Dharma, 80%, Quake, 88%, Rampage, 80%, Robotron, 64-81%, Snowboard Kids, 83%, Top Gear Rally, 85%, Wave Race, 64-83%, WCW vs NWO World Tour, 83%, Weetrix, 86%, and World Soccer, 386. Top-performing titles included Super Mario 64, 92%, WWF Warzone, 90%, and World Cup, 98, 93%. Mixed scores were given to Star Soldier, 65%, Tamagotchi World, 66%, Yoshi's Story, 79%, and Wayne Gretzky Games, 78%. War Gods received a particularly low score of 40%. This page is the front cover for issue 18 of 64 magazine, shouting about the Nintendo 64 game Turok, boasting about its impressive graphics with megabits, 256 hires, 640 by 480 teeth, lots. It also teases other games to be featured inside, like Duke Nukem, 0 Hour, Extreme G2, Pokemon Stadium, Penny Racers, and Glover. Issue 18 is set to be on sale from October 8th. The page also includes an info section which lists the magazine's staff, from editor Andy McDermott down to joint managing directors Dee Bedford and Richard Monteiro, and also gives special thanks to various industry contacts. There are contact details and subscription information included too. A large portion of the page is taken up by a special reserve discount mail order advert, promoting their service with a membership offer, promising discounts and free gifts. They list a wide range of games and consoles for sale, including Nintendo 64 titles, Super NES games, Game Boy and PlayStation games, along with accessories like the Game Boy camera and printer. They are pushing a PlayStation Value plus Gran Turismo bundle. The advert also mentions their special reserve big club shops locations. Finally, there's a section encouraging readers to reserve your copy today, with a form to fill out.